Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. What a beautiful day we had today. So warm and so gorgeous. I know, a little humid, and believe me, my hair has notified me of the humidity, but nevertheless, such a beautiful day. So I'm just going to jump into the project. We are going to, oh, and I just realized that I was going to grab an extra sample and I forgot to, so perhaps as we get started, I will ask Tony to grab an extra sample. But we are actually going to be making a remake, a remix, if you will, of one of my favorite projects. And this is the Silk Road Bracelet. So it actually looks quite different from the first version of it. But there are some similarities. So, and I know we still have some of the lapis lazuli projects from the first generation. So maybe I'll ask Tony to grab it. I'm sure he can find it in just a minute once we all say hello.
Karen says, good evening.
Hi, Karen. Good evening, my friend.
Ellen says, hi, Irina and everyone.
Hello, Ellen. So I'm just going to show you this and talk a little bit about what we are about to make. So this is a knotted project, a knotted bracelet, and I have two different variations. So the first one is spiny oyster, and it is spaced with these lovely little turquoise, actually it's Kingman Mine turquoise, and spiny rondelles. You may be very familiar with them because I have actually shown them on multiple occasions. And then of course we have Ceylon to complement the color of the beads. And so I do love this spiny oyster. These particular pieces are just this amazing vibrant combination of oranges and purples. It's literally like watching a spectacular sunset. And then of course the other version is, and Tony's going to help me with whatever we name them because
Caribbean Beach.
Thank you so much. So this is the Caribbean Beach, and this I believe is Land and Sea.
Correct.
And Land and Sea, of course, we have the spiny, which comes from the ocean, and then the beautiful turquoise comes from the land. And Caribbean Beach is pretty self-explanatory. This is very beachy and fun. It is abalone shell and dyed jade, which actually looks so much like apatite. It's literally the color of apatite. Unless you look at it very closely, you would just mistake it for apatite.
Althea says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Althea, and thank you for joining us.
Katie S. says, happy Thursday, all.
Hi, Katie, and happy Thursday to you.
Trudy says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Trudy. Well, I'm so glad you guys are joining me this beautiful evening. And Tony did bring me the original version of Silk Road Treasures just Silk Road Bracelet, right? Yes. So this is the original version. As you can see, the round pieces are a little larger, but there are fewer of them, and I decided to go with more of the coin pieces, and they're spaced a little bit differently, and there's not a whole lot to the spacing, It's just, oh, there's a little bit of graduated sizing. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. And I will also talk about how to size it to your wrist.
Katie says, I did think that was appetite.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Katie. Yes, so you just validated what I'm saying. It just really looks like appetite, but I feel like if you look at it very, very closely, if you're familiar with that very subtle texture of dyed jade, only then can you tell that it's not appetite, but it's such a beautiful color. And I think it really complements the abalone shell with its very subtle pinks and greens and blues and purples. And of course, the background is kind of like, to me, it's a sandy background, which is why it just looks so beachy to me.
Patricia says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Patricia. Okay, guys, so what do you think? Should we get started? So let me move a couple of these, and I am going to be working with the Caribbean beach color today. And so when you get your kits, and of course all of these kits are already listed in the Etsy shop, so I'm just flipping these over so that the pretty side is up. And the first thing we're going to do is arrange these so that they're graduated in size. It's just, I think it's just very pleasing to the eye when it is graduated. So 7 of these discs are going to be in the body of the bracelet, and then there's going to be one little disc left over. And of course, these are all going to vary. This is natural shell, so as you can see, the colors, the patterns are going to vary a little bit. This one is a little bit darker than the others. If you don't like the darker color, you could always make that the button and perhaps rearrange a little bit. I actually like the darker color, so I'm going to put it in the body of the bracelet. And my strategy in picking one that is going to be the button or the clasp is literally whatever is left over. And sometimes there's one that's maybe a little bit thicker, and that one would be really nice for the button. Not only is it sturdy, but this way we are leaving all of the pieces that are similar in thickness for the body of the bracelet. Okay, ladies, so now that we have arranged these in the order that we enjoy, we're going to get started.
Patricia says Facebook is acting up here.
Oh, Patricia, that naughty Facebook. What can we do with this very, very naughty Facebook? I don't know. We've tried, well, I mean, I know sometimes refreshing will work. What else can work? I don't know. If anybody has any pointers, please put them in the comments. You know, this is teamwork. So if you know a good way to deal with that naughty Facebook, please do share in the comments.
Ellie says, hi, everyone. Cool bracelet.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you so much, my dear. Did you see the other version of it? So I have the Land and Sea version, which is this one, the turquoise and spiny. And then I have Caribbean Beach version, which is the abalone shell and dyed jade, which looks exactly like apatite.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Fonda, and happy Thursday to you, my friend. Okay, ladies. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to, once we have laid out how we want our beads in this kind of a very simple graduated pattern, and I'm going to get a few of the rondelles, and you can see there are going to be slight variations in the color of the rondelles as well. And now we're going to make a self needle, and I know you guys have seen me make a self needle like a schmillion times. So when you unpack your kits, you are going to find the Ceylon. It is 5 feet of Ceylon. And please, even if you wear a tiny size, just do me a favor, do not cut it. You might just need a little more length, just because it's easier to work with the string when it's a bit longer, when you are knotting. So, again, I know we've done this a million times, but given that these videos also serve as my directions, we're going to do it for the 1,000,001st time. So I have a little piece of folded paper, I have my super new glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. We're going to be very careful because super new glue is very runny. It comes out very quickly like water. And now we're going to remove as much of the super new glue as we can. And we're going to take these apart right away so that they don't stick to one another. They generally don't.
Katie says I had to log out and log back in 3 times tonight before I got to the live video. I've had the same issue for 2 months.
Oh my goodness, Katie.
I know how you feel, Katie.
Oh,
I have the same issue setting up events and posting on Facebook.
yeah, we all know it's a bummer, but what can we do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, you know what? I thank you for trying. Certainly persistency pays off.
Kathy K says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Kathy.
Allie says, yes. Is this a remix of the Lapis Lazuli from a while back?
Oh, yes, Allie. You weren't even here, but you're so clever. Yes, it is a remix. So I feel like, there are a lot of similarities, especially in how you construct it. But visually, I think it's a little different because, well, of course, I'm using different beads. And then, of course, this is a bit more dainty, even if you look at the loop compared to the original, it's just a little bit more dainty. And, I kind of go back and forth between the daintier designs and the more chunky designs. And I think right now I'm in a slightly more dainty phase. And so I was very, very drawn to not only the spiny, but also I adore this abalone, also known as PowerShell. It is so beautiful. It's so beachy. And the colors are fantastic. And of course, it just glows. I mean, just look at this. It's going to glow on your wrist. It's so fun.
Katie says, I don't mean to complain, just sharing in case anyone else is having the same issue.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie, for sharing. I did not think that it came across as complaining. I literally thought you were sharing so that people are not, so that other people, rather, are not, disappointed. It happens, it happens to all of us, and just try a couple more times, and eventually you get in. Yay!
Suni says, I thought it was me. I had to type your name in and saw the live button.
Oh, hi, Suni. I'm so glad you're joining us. Okay, guys, so we are going to get started now that we got all of our ducks in a row. And so again, I'm just going to remove a couple of these just to give myself a little room. And so we have already put a little bit of the super new glue on our Ceylon, and we're doing this on both ends. And just a few seconds is enough generally for the glue to dry. So once the glue is dry, I am going to cut it like this, just with my wire cutters, and I cut it at a pretty sharp angle. And that is because I want a sharp little point right at the end, hence the self needle. It literally feels like a needle. It's not quite as pokey. It's not going to hurt you, which is a good thing. So once we have created a self needle, we're going to find the center and we are going to tie a surgeon's knot, which means we start out just as a regular overhand knot, but then we go through one more time, and you should be able to see this little figure eight. Do you see how it's easier to see the figure eight when we're working with leather, but even with Ceylon, you can see that figure eight. And so the point of making the surgeon's knot is it's slightly larger than our regular overhand knot. And I like it, it's a little bit more decorative. Plus, it's going to hold onto this little spacer, and the spacer has a nice open hole, so the larger knot is kind of conducive to holding onto the spacer. Okay, so now we're going to put both ends of the Ceylon through our little spacer, and there we go. And so this is going to go all the way to the knot, and you can see it's holding really nicely. It's not going to pull through. And then remember, we set aside one of the abalone discs so that we can make it into a button closure or a clasp. And here is my abalone disc. And so I'm going to go through that as well. And here is our button. So what we're going to do now is just do a tiny little bit of macrame, and I'll show you where it goes. So this little bit of knotting right here is helping us create a little space between the button and the next bead so that we can turn the button this way as it's going through the loop. So that is a really important part of it. And when it's just me working, okay, so I'll share this because I know you're not going to judge me. So normally I just hold on to it with my teeth, not to the button, but to the string. Okay, but since I'm not going to be holding on to it with my teeth, I'm going to ask Tony to hold on to the button. So here, we want to see you hold on to this button, and if there's somebody around, then ask them to hold it for you, and if not, no worries. Either hold on with your teeth as you hold on to the button with your hand, or whatever works. Sometimes I use a board and I'll put the button between two nails, or hold on to it with your toes. Whatever works for you.
So hold it like I mean it.
Hold it like you mean it. Exactly.
Suni says, I missed it. How long is the Ceylon?
The Ceylon is 5 feet long. And we're putting the button at the right at the center.
Kim K says, happy Thursday, everyone, and sends flowers.
Hi, Kim. Happy Thursday to you, my friend. And thank you so much for the flowers. Okay, guys. So we're going to hold one side of the string really nice and taut. Obviously, it's this one. Okay. And as we're holding this taut, we're going to be making these little, what are these called? Hitch
Half hitch.
Half hitch knots, exactly.
Pammy J says, good evening, Irina, Tony, and all. I forgot what time it was, but I'm here now.
Oh, hi! I'm so glad you're joining us. Yay!
Vanessa says, hello, hello, joining late.
Hello, hello, Vanessa. So glad you're joining. Okay, so making a series of half hitch knots. And this is what it looks like. It just looks like a little loop. So let me make this one. And so it's very simple. We go underneath the string like this, over the string and back through the new loop. And that is a half hitch knot. And so that is my second one. And so literally, however you can think of doing this, you can do this by holding on with your teeth. You can do this by holding on with your toes. You can do it by, you probably at some point have seen me use a board with two nails that are placed very closely, and then I would just place the button right in between those two nails as I'm holding the string taut. And there's so many ways to make it work. Okay, so that was, I think that was 5. And if you made 6, that is okay too. So this is what it looks like. It looks like sometimes it will actually start to spiral a little bit like this. And whether it's spiraling or not does not matter. So next thing we're going to do is tie a knot. So this is just a regular overhand knot. You can see that. And so I'm tying it right at the end of my 5 half hitch knots.
Vanessa says, Tony, we need one of you to help us with our project.
Yes. Or, I'm sure come on down. Tony's offering to help. So come on down and he will hold your bead for you. Okay, so once we have that knot, we are going to go through one of our little rondelles with both ends of the string. So because I made those self needles, it's very easy to go through, and we're going to tie another overhand knot on the other side of the bead so that it's held firmly in place. Oh, you know what? Okay, let me backtrack. Okay, we're not going to do this right now. So I am backtracking just a little bit because I would love to talk about the sizing. I almost forgot about that, and that is really important. So this one, my sample, let's measure it, shall we?
Trudy says, how many half hitches, please?
5 to 6 half hitch knots. Okay.
And Katie says, I had to let the dog out. What type of knot did you tie? Yeah, it was a half hitch.
Half hitch? Yep. Thank you for asking. I love it when you guys ask, because if you want to know, it probably means somebody else missed it as well. So it's good to ask. Okay, ladies. So this is, if we include the loop, this is just under 7.5 inches. So if you're making a 7.5 inch bracelet, you would do exactly what I was about to do, which means string on the jade rondelle. However, if we are making a larger size, so for that purpose, I included in the kit a number, I will say exactly 10, of these 8O seed beads. These are beautiful, very large hole seed beads. You've seen me work with them like a schmillion times. And this is going to be our secret weapon in sizing our bracelet. Of course, if you're making a smaller bracelet, all you have to do is just, it depends how you want to get there. You can skip the 2 end rondelles, and that will be great. That will shorten your bracelet by about 1/2 inch. If you have a teeny tiny wrist, maybe you even want to skip one of the discs. So you decide how to size it down. There are multiple ways. Now, if you want to size it up, we are simply going to add these little 8/0 seed beads, and I will give you a little peek of what it's going to look like with the seed beads. So you can see that. So this is without the seed beads, and this is what it's going to look like with the seed beads. But we'll get to that. So let's string on a seed bead.
And Kim K is wondering if it's regular or fine seed-lawn.
Thank you so much for asking, Kim. It is indeed regular seed-lawn. Generally, when I knot, I use regular seed-lawn. And I do love seed-lawn. I love the multitude of colors that it comes in, and I really like how it knots. I just really like everything about it, the drape, just the whole thing. Okay, so I have one of my seed beads on, and I am simply going to tie one more overhand knot. And so you have 10 of these seed beads. And with each seed bead, you are going to be adding approximately, maybe just a little bit over 1/8 of an inch.
Kim K and Trudy say thank you.
My pleasure, ladies. Okay, and so this is the next seed bead. And so you may only need 1 seed bead, or maybe you don't need any, or maybe you need 5 seed beads on each side. So you can definitely make this bracelet whatever size you need. Okay, so I'm going to stop at just 2 seed beads on each side. And so once I have my seed beads, now I'm going to string the rondelle onto my seed-lawn, onto both sides of the seed-lawn. And sometimes you just have to go through with one end, especially in the spot where it's a self needle, and then go through with the other end, because sometimes just that little bit of glue makes it a little bit thicker, and you have to go through just one at a time. So now I'm going to tie one more overhand knot. And now we are ready to string our discs. So we had them laid out in this very nice order, and of course I messed it all up, but it is very easily fixed.
Suni is wondering what size are the discs and rondelles?
Thank you for asking, Suni. They are, so as you can see, they will vary. The abalone discs are going to be between 10 and 14 millimeters, and the rondelles are 8 millimeters. Okay, so now to start stringing the discs, this is what we're going to do. We are now going to go through the center of the disc just with the one end of our seed-lawn. And now we're going to go through with the other end of our seed-lawn, and this time we're going through in the opposite direction. So it's like we're going to be making these little figure 8s with our seed-lawn. And so this is what it's going to look like. So clearly we have two different sides of our abalone. As you know, abalone, this is what it looks like. It has all the very pretty rainbowy colors on one side, and then we have very pretty peach and green colors on the other side. So I'm choosing to make the rainbowy side my front, but of course you can choose to do whatever you want. You can mix it up, or you can wear the other side out. It's actually quite reversible. I mean, look at this. This just looks like a totally different bracelet, doesn't it? And depending on what you're wearing that day, you can wear it with that side out. Okay, so I have my first disc on my Ceylon, and I'm going to make another overhand knot. So now I'm going to show you, well, actually no, now we're going to string one more rondelle onto our Ceylon. And again, we're just going in the same direction as we go through the rondelles, and in the opposite direction as we go through the discs. Okay, so I have my rondelle on, and now we're going to make another overhand knot.
Pammy J says that's cool. 2 bracelets in one.
Thank you so much, Pammy J. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. Well, and that, of course, is the nature of abalone. I mean, it is so beautiful. And, you know, when you look at the spiny also has that feature. So I would do literally exactly the same thing when I line up the spiny. So one side is going to be very vibrant, and it's going to be mostly oranges and purples, maybe just a little bit of an off-white, but primarily oranges and purples. And then when you look at the other side, you may see some oranges and purples, but you might see also some darker stripes. So make sure that you look at both sides of these discs because they may be completely different on the other side. Okay, so this is the important part, I feel. Because I really like to make sure that all of my rainbowy sides are lined up on one side. And so I'm going to be really careful about how I go through the abalone discs. So when I'm putting on the next disc, what I'm going to do is say, this is the side I want to be in front, right? So definitely not the peachy side. And so when you look at your knot, at your overhand knot, you will always notice that one of the strings is on top and the other string is on the bottom. So make sure that if you line up the abalone disc so that it's lined up with the previous disc, right, with the same side out, make sure you grab the top string that comes out of the knot and go through the abalone disc going downward, right? And then we're going to grab the other string and go in the other direction. So you're literally lining up your bracelet right now.
Kathy H says hello from windy, hot, smoky Helena, Montana.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
And she says the fire is not contained.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh, my gosh. How close are you to the fire? But in the meantime, ladies, so yeah, while you tell us about the fire, so we have our second disc on, and again, you already know what we're going to do. We're just going to tie another knot, and we're going to get it pretty close. It doesn't have to be as tight as you can possibly get it. In fact, I like just a little bit of play so that it has a nice drape. So anyway, that is how you line up all the discs so that they are facing in the same direction. Does that make sense? Because I would love to go on to the next step.
Kathy says she can see it and smell it, but not very close at all.
Well, I'm glad that you're far away from the fire. And good luck to everybody who's dealing with it. Okay, so tell me, you guys, if this makes sense, because then I'll move on to the next step. Because as you probably have guessed, through the magic of Facebook Live, I already have a bracelet here that is nearly finished. So I'm going to show you how to finish it, but if you need me to do this one more time, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so I'm going to assume that just that little demo was enough.
Fonda says, makes sense to me.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much for the validation, Fonda, because I never quite know, is this good? Is this enough?
Allie does too.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, both of you ladies. Okay, so moving right along. So now, okay, now we're doing this for realsies. Okay, through the magic of Facebook Live, I have this bracelet, which is nearly finished, and I'm going to put all these other little components away. So this is what it looks like. So we started it with two little 8O seed beads, and we're going to finish it just for the sake of symmetry. Not that you have to, but as we said, with each one of these beads, we are adding approximately 1/8 of an inch. So for example, you need to add an inch. That most likely means you need to add 8 of these seed beads, 8O seed beads. And so how I would do that is, of course, have 4 on one side and then 4 on the other side. So I'm only adding 2 on each side. So that means that this bracelet is going to be roughly 1/2 an inch longer than my current sample. Okay, so, but of course it's not exact, ladies. I will say that it's not exact, and I'll tell you why as soon as I tell you that I'm going to be knotting in between these 8O seed beads. So as we said earlier, all of these discs, the abalone discs, are going to be between 10 and 14 millimeters. But it's not like they're identical per bracelet. Also, the way we knot is not going to be identical. The way you knot is not going to be identical to how I knot, and even how I knot is not going to be identical to how I knot the following day, right? So maybe one day we're a little high strung and everything is really tight, and then the next day we're just really relaxed and it's not quite as tight. Okay, so I'm going to tie a knot, and this is going to be my final knot. So I am actually going to leave just a little bit of room between my last bead and this knot. And this is pretty strategic. We don't need a lot of room. I'll show you how much room you need. You only need enough room where you can take one of these ends and just kind of like poke it through between, maybe I didn't leave enough. Maybe we'll just pull on it a little bit. And if I had a little needle tool, I would probably use it. In fact, I have a little needle tool in here, so I'm going to use it right now. Okay, so if you have a needle tool, or you know, anything that's kind of pointy. Even a toothpick will work. So here's my needle tool, and I can just poke it through in between the two strings, right? And just kind of create a little opening. And this is going to be a lot easier for me to go through with one of my ends. So that's really it. It doesn't have to be a very large gap between the bead and the knot, but a little bit of a gap is helpful. Okay, ladies, and now we're going to be using our little seed beads. And I have to tell you that depending on which button you choose for your clasp, it may be that you need 6 or 7 or 8 of them. So you're just going to have to decide. And I'm going to show you. So obviously, we're going to be making a loop. And so these are 11O seed beads. And I always say for a little bead, it has a nice large hole. But of course, you know, it is a little bead. And we're going to have to work a little bit to go through the hole in these little beads with both of our ends, just like this. So you can see the difference between the 8O and the 11O. And, you know, I kind of debated if I wanted to use the 8O or the 11O. I'm sure the 8O would have worked as well, just like I used the larger beads in the first version of this bracelet. But, you know, this is, as I mentioned, this is a much daintier bracelet. And I kind of wanted to keep the loop a little dainty as well. And so I decided to go with the 11O seed beads, even though it's going to take us a little longer, but not too much so. So I'm just going to continue knotting until I have at least 6 beads, and then I'm going to check if I have enough, because it might just need the 7th as well. So while I'm doing this, normally I save all the announcements for the end, but since, you know, I'm just going to be knotting for a little bit, I'm just going to tell you that we're having a huge sale in our Etsy shop. We're calling it our Christmas and July sale. And this is a great time to stock up on some kits. And so we have all of our holiday kits on sale, which is pretty exciting. You know, I know some of you start creating your holiday gifts, well, right about now, because the holidays, of course, are just going to sneak up on us. And it just happens like that every year. And so we have all of our holiday kits on sale, and actually a lot of non-holiday kits as well. So I want to say it's like over 160 kits on sale. And for anybody who is local, and a couple of you ladies are, we're having a very similar sale in our brick and mortar store. Okay, so I'm trying to count. So 4. I have 4 seed beads as of right now, so I'll string, or I'll knot a couple more, and then we'll see how we're doing.
Vanessa's wondering, any chance you have more of the Kingman turquoise spiny oyster composite bead strands?
I believe we do. We actually do, yes. Oh, you know what, you guys? So I have something so exciting that just came in. Well, I have some exciting beads that we're showing tomorrow. for the shopping event. But if you like those composite rondelles, Vanessa, I have some copper edge composite rondelles with a spiny oyster. How crazy is that? So that not for tomorrow, but for, you may have seen the preview. So for next week's Friday, I have that, and those are discs. But you know what? I can also check whether we have. I know you're asking about the rondelles. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say composite rondelles?
Yeah.
No, I meant spiny oyster copper edge discs. It's a long description. So yes, so if we have some, we could certainly add them to our lineup, not for tomorrow, because that's pretty well set, but for next week. I would be happy to do that. Or else, you know what, you can just, as you watch us tomorrow, if you put it in the comments, if you want to get it sooner, we can make it happen. You know, as long as you know that it exists, it'll be at the same price, whatever it is. So yeah, we can do that tomorrow.
Vanessa says, sounds great, thank you.
My pleasure, Vanessa.
Karen says, you can save this video in your saved folder on Facebook. Hit the 3 dots on the top right of the page. Yay, thank you, Karen.
Yay, thank you so much. Okay, ladies, so I don't know if you guys saw, I just kind of folded what I've done into a little loop, and it was way too tiny. So I am adding more beads. So this is bead number 7, I want to say. And we're going to knot this, and then we'll see how we're doing in terms of the loop fitting the button, because that is of course what matters. So I'm just kind of playing with this a little bit to lengthen it just a tiny bit. I'm stretching it, but it's not necessarily to make it longer, although I'm making it a little longer, but it's really to make it a little softer. And then of course, as you wear it, it will really kind of loosen up a little bit. So you're probably going to want to make it fairly snug. And it looks like 7 beads is a good count. And you know, I think I have a little bead holder in this room. In fact, yes, I do. So if you have a bead holder, pardon me, I know you probably can't hear me quite as well because I moved, but I am back now. I have all sorts of fun little tools and toys all over this room. So I had to get up and get this one. So if you have a bead stopper, bead holder, I call it all sorts of different names. So if you have it, and if you are able to just kind of clip it into place, I don't know, I think this will work. I actually used a smaller one that worked nicely, but I don't have it in this room. Well, you know what? I think this is going to be good enough. So I'm holding it with the bead stopper as well as my finger, just seeing if I can push the button through, and yes, I can. And so now we are ready to finish our loop. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use one side of my Ceylon. And remember, if we have some type of a pointy tool, so this happens to be a needle stylus or a needle tool, if you have some kind of an awl or a pin or a toothpick, you can do the same thing just to separate those 2 strings so that we can push one end of the Ceylon through that opening. And there it is.
Randy is wondering what's being sold in tomorrow's show. We'll go over that toward the end of the
Absolutely, video. Randy. We are just about done here, and I'm going to give you a little preview. I am actually quite excited about tomorrow's video. So here is my loop. And you know, just to be sure, let's try it again. So I'm going to hold it really nice and tight. I'm going to button it, and in this way we know for sure that it fits. Okay, so make sure it fits, because once you finish it, there's no going back other than restringing. So you know what they say, measure twice, cut once, right? Okay, so now I'm going to tie these two little ends into a knot. And how I'm going to do it is, I'm really tempted to tie an overhand knot, but it's going to really stick out, as you guys know. So instead of an overhand knot, I'm just going to wrap around the loop with one end, and then I'm going to tie a square knot with both strings like this. Okay, so there's my square knot, and if you are not quite sure, you can always do it twice. I think this is enough, especially given that we're going to glue the knot. So I don't actually want to put another knot on top of this one, because, let me give you a little preview, it has to fit into a knot cover, also known as a crimp cover. So for that reason, I prefer to keep it somewhat small. So we're going to glue the knot, and how I always glue my knots is this. I use my super glue glue, and I don't put it directly on the knot. I put it on the string, and then I just kind of guide it towards the knot. And again, because this glue comes out so very, very quickly, and if you over glue and if you let it really soak into the knot and just kind of soak through and come out on the other side, what's going to happen is you're going to make your working string brittle. So I'm actually removing a little bit of the excess glue. You can see it right on that corner of my piece of paper. So just have a little piece of paper handy so you can remove it. So this way, when I put it on the string that is going to be cut off and just kind of guide it towards the knot, I make certain that it does not make the rest of my piece brittle. So that's very, very important. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for a moment, let it dry. And in the meantime, we don't need these little seed beads anymore, but we are going to be using the crimp cover or the knot cover. You have to drop it a couple of times just for good luck. And so sometimes you will find that the opening in the crimp cover is not quite large enough to fit over your knot. No worries. We are going to use our chain nose pliers. We're going to insert the chain nose pliers right into the opening, and then you're going to want to hold on to it nice and tight as you open the chain nose pliers. So again, you put the chain nose pliers inside the crimp cover and open the handles, and that will open your crimp cover. Okay, let's see if our string is dry, and it is. It dries very, very quickly. So we are going to cut off any excess string.
Allie says, so pretty, great shine on the discs.
Thank you so much, Allie. You know what? I am just so mesmerized by these discs. I love these. All right, ladies, and now we are going to put this crimp cover right over the knot. So it's going to land right next to our 8/0 seed bead, if you have an 8/0 seed bead, that is. And if you don't have an 8/0 seed bead, it's going to be right next to here. I'll show you. It's going to be right next to that and rondelle. And again, as you are adjusting for sizing, so those of you with a teeny tiny wrist who are skipping the rondelle, you are going to just put the crimp cover right next to one of the discs. So just figure it out. Whatever is last, that's where the crimp cover goes. And so I am making sure that the knot is really firmly in there, and preferably no part of the knot is sticking out, because if some of it is sticking out, that means it's going to get a little bit stuck and it's going to be in the way of closing the crimp cover, which sometimes does happen. And you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's not preferable. So I'm really pushing it towards the inside of the crimp cover.
Pammy J says, I learned that crimp cover technique from you and have successfully used it.
Oh, yay! I'm so glad, Pammy J. Thank you for sharing that.
Suni is wondering, is the kit listed in your shop?
Yes, it is indeed. Thank you so much for asking, Suni. In fact, both the new version, which is this, and the original version, which is right here, the lapis. Okay, but back to closing our crimp cover. So what you will find is that by simply squeezing your tool like this, you can only get so far. And you get to the point where you still have a very open seam, but it's not going to go any further because the parts closest to the hole are touching. So it's just not going to go anymore just by squeezing. So what we're going to do at this point is rotate our pliers so that one side is right at the edge of the seam. And so what we're doing is we're only pushing on one side of the crimp cover. And so then you rotate and then you push on the other side of the crimp cover, and you just kind of finesse it until it looks like a round bead. And literally you cannot even differentiate it from any other round bead. It almost looks like the other beads in the bracelet, except that it is just a little bit larger. So this is what it looks like. And again, the loop is going to be, initially it's going to be a little bit tight. I mean, you can always make it a little looser by adding an 1/8 seed bead. And maybe I should have done that. No, actually, I should not have done that, because you do this a couple of times and you will find that your sealant will loosen up. And it's not that sealant stretches. Sealant does not stretch. But what will happen as you do this a few times, those knots are simply going to get tighter, and then you'll have more of the string, and so it will seem as if it's stretched. And that's it. That is how we make this bracelet. So this is what it looks like. Oh, and just for fun, you know what? Let's unbutton it, and I would love to measure it so that we can see. So obviously I added 2 seed beads on each side, and we're going to measure this. So my new sample is 8 inches, the one that I just finished. So this one is 8 inches. And you remember the original one is 7.5, just under 7.5. So
Suni says, ta-da!
Ta-da! Yay!
Allie says it matches your shirt and hoodie.
You know what? I am so excited about wearing this. Obviously I love both of these. They're both my babies, but I have so many pieces of jewelry in these colors. It's like, oh my God, I don't have enough wrists to wear them. But I kind of fell in love with the abalone this time. You know, I just really love this abalone, and actually this one is for me. So yes, I will be wearing this and enjoying it very much. And yes, it totally does match my shirt. I wear a lot of these kind of oceany colors. Okay, ladies, so guess what? We're done. So was that easy? I'm hoping that it looked easy because it is very easy. And again, both of these are in the Etsy shop. And we have Caribbean Beach, maybe?
Yes.
Yes. Caribbean Beach and Land and Sea. And now we'll do the rest of the previews of what's coming up. So I forgot now who it was, but somebody asked what it is that we're doing tomorrow. So I have something very, very exciting tomorrow, ladies. Ta-da! We have not seen furnace glass in quite a while. So I hope you're really excited. I have this beautiful furnace glass mix. And, you know, those of you who have been in the store, in our actual brick and mortar store, you may have seen one of the chandeliers that I made like a million years ago with furnace glass, and everybody comments on it. And Tony is going to maybe take a picture of it and put it on Facebook, and you'll see what it looks like. And maybe I'll even have it printed out to show you tomorrow. Maybe we'll just make it a point. Okay, so tomorrow we have the Facebook Live shopping event, and well, you just saw the star of the event. Also, I will have all sorts of wonderful things that go with the furnace glass, and some do not go with the furnace glass at all. Because we just got a bunch of new gemstone beads, so that is very exciting. So I have some, literally, they just came in today, so very last minute, we squeezed them into the lineup. And then we'll have some really fun sterling silver components. And of course, so much more. There are always surprises, so you'll just have to join me and see. And then for next Thursday, July 18th, I have the Dreamy Leaf tutorial. And so this is a really fun wire wrapping technique. And it's meant for anything that is not drilled. And it works great for hearts and leaf shapes. And so, so this is next Thursday, July 18th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my jewelry design page.
Althea says, so pretty, thank you.
Thank you so much, Althea.
And Suni says, is the spiny oyster an option for purchase? Yes, the link is in the comments.
Oh, wow. You overachieved. Fantastic.
Lori says, I love the abalone.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Suni says, thank you. I needed a splash of inspiration.
Fantastic.
Allie says, woohoo, furnace glass beads.
Woohoo, indeed. I think this is going to be very exciting. So actually, I picked a whole bunch of different, just different glass beads that will complement the furnace glass beads. And this is pink lip shell. That is what we're doing next week. And actually, this is very exciting because not only is this shell hand carved, but it is vintage. So this is vintage shell. I want to say it was carved in occupied Japan, and it is beautiful.
Fonda says, did you make the leaves?
Nope. No, I did not make the leaves. I did not carve them, Fonda, and I did not go to occupied Japan.
Vanessa
because
says,
sadly, I cannot time travel.
Yet.
Yet. I'm
Vanessa
learning.
says, so pretty.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Kim K says, beautiful bracelets and beautiful beads.
Thank you so much.
Katie says, I could use some furnace glass project ideas.
I will try to find some. My goodness, we'll have to run around the store and look for furnace glass. I don't even know if we have any more, but we will include the chandelier. But you know, there's so many, I've done so many projects with furnace glass, but people keep asking if they can buy it, and I just keep saying, oh, sure, yes, you know, if you love it, buy it. But you know, we'll try to find a few furnace glass ideas. Maybe I know we even had kits a long time ago, so we will do our best. Okay, guys, and finally, for next Friday, we are going to have copper edge, turquoise, and spiny oyster beads, and of course, as usual, so much more. So, unless you have questions for me, I believe we are done for tonight.
Althea says, I can't wait for that pendant.
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're excited about it. Oh, and very excitingly, I think this is the fun part of this. I am doing this in both gold and silver because, you know, there are some girls who are silver girls like me, and there are gold girls like, well, other girls. And sometimes I'm one of the gold girls. So anyway, you are going to have a choice of silver and gold, and they're similar, but they're slightly different. The gold is a little bit more, I don't know, like the pearls I used here are more of a color of Tahitian pearls, whereas the silver variation has the white pearls.
Patricia says, thank you. Everything is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much, Patricia. It's my pleasure.
I think I said, Althea says, I can't wait for that pendant.
Yay, you did, but you can say it again because I'm excited too.
Kim K says, gorgeous shell leaf.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Suni says, darn, the spiny oyster is sold out.
No, the spiny oyster is not sold out. Thank you for asking, Suni. So we do have it. So you said there's a link. What is the link to?
To the spiny oyster kit in the Etsy shop.
Oh, yes, yes. So the spiny oyster kit is in the Etsy shop. It is not sold out. But what we were talking about earlier is next Friday. So not tomorrow, but next Friday, I believe it's going to be July 19th, I will make sure to include some of the strands of spiny if we have them in the store. So that is our plan, ladies.
Suni says it says sold out, but I'll check the link after the video.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know, Suni. We'll definitely. Oh, you know what is sold out? The old version of it, the original version is sold out. But if you look for the new version, which is this one, so it should be there.
Karen says it says 4 left.
Oh, fantastic. Yay.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Vanessa says, I think it's been asked, but can orders from Etsy and the Live be combined for shipping? Yes, they can.
Oh, fantastic. I actually did not know the answer to that. So yes, good news, they can be. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining me today as I sit here and play with beads and make bracelets and talk to you, which I love to do. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the live shopping event. It's going to be fun. There's some really, really gorgeous, vibrant beads. There are also some new gemstone beads. So we are going to have a good time. Okay, guys. In the meantime, it was a pleasure. Have a wonderful and creative evening.